Hi everyone, in today's video I will show you how to make these little hearts with the granny square method. They're made out of cotton yarn, sugar and cream. The one I've used for this one is the psychedelic, and one I've used for this one is called the Mango Madness color. And you can add some hardware of your choice. You can add whichever hardware of your choice. You could just add whatever you fancy adding to this. These are available from Amazon. And let's just measure the size of this. The size of this is 2.5 inches wide and 2.5 inches in the length as well, at the widest points. So it's a good size, and you can always personalize them by adding initials to it if you are gifting it to somebody. For yourself, it's you can just open this from here and slide your rings into this section here, and you can always hang it to your bag to make it a little bit more fancy or personalized. So let's get started. I'm going to be using the color pink. It's called Hot Pink from Sugar and Cream, and I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook, even though it says on the hook it's a 4.5mm, or you could use a 5mm. Feel free to use a hook that you think is better for your tension as well. I'm using this lovely yarn spinner from Astery Studios, which is really handy for me while I'm making these projects. So let's get started. I've just made a slip knot, and I'm going to make 4 chains. You can also make a magic ring if you really want to do that way, but I'm going to do it with the chain 4 and then go into the first chain and make a slip stitch to create your initial circle, which is going to be this one. As you can see, I'll place my thumb here, and then carry on working into that circle. So, oops, spin a bit too much. So we're going to, I just done a chain 2, and I'm going to do 2 trebles to mark my first cluster. So that's my first cluster, and for the first row I'm going to make 5 clusters of 3 trebles each, separated by a chain 1. And then for the second row I'll show you how I'm doing it. But the 5 row, we are making a pentagon. So chain 1, and into the same circle we're going to make 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. And again we're going to do a chain 1, and we're going to do another 3 trebles. So 1, 2, and 3. We are now going to chain 1 again. So I've done 3 clusters of 3 trebles each, as you can see, separated by a chain 1. So 1, 2, and 3 clusters separated by chain 1. Chain 1 again and 3 trebles. I've got 2 more clusters to go now. So 1, by clusters in this pattern I meant to say a cluster of 3 trebles worked as a group, and then chain 1, and again my last cluster of 3 trebles. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 again at the end, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of this chain here. So I'm going to go into that one and slip stitch over there. So now I have got, it wouldn't look like a pentagon right now, but if you see closely, it will resemble slightly because it's not very defined, but you need to make 5 clusters separated by a chain 1 in the first row. Now for the second row, we're going to chain 2, chain 1, chain 2, and then we're going to go straight into our next gap, which is this one, and make 3 trebles. So 1, 2, and 3. After that, we're going to do a chain 1 again, and then we're going to go into the same gap and do 3 trebles again. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch on top of one of these chains. So I've got 2, I can see 2 here, and 1 is gone underneath here. So I'm going to go into this first one and do a slip stitch under that chain. Then I'm going to yarn over and go into my next gap and do my first 3 trebles. So 1, 2, and 3, and do my chain 1 again, and go into the same gap here and do 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3 trebles. Once I have finished this part, I'm now going to do a chain 2, like how I did in the beginning here. I'm going to do a chain 2 here, and I'm going to go straight into the next gap and slip stitch into that gap. Okay, so now I've completed my top portion of my heart. Now I need to carry on with my defining the bottom part by doing some slip stitches around the gaps. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. The first one you're going to go is just right next to here, so it's very easy to miss. But after you've just done your gap here, gap slip stitch, you're going to go into this next one, slip stitch into that one. Then you're going to go to the next one again and do a slip stitch in that one, and you have got one more here to a slip stitch in, and do a slip stitch there. Then you'll arrive at this gap where you're going to do a slip stitch first, then you do a chain 1, and then you come back into the same gap and do a slip stitch. Now that's how we're going to get this defined section here, the pointy bit in the middle. And then we're going to carry on doing slip stitch till we get to this gap here, to this chain 2 gap here. So I'm going to go into my next chain, which is this one, and I'm going to slip stitch in that one. So 1, 2, and then into this gap 3. Once I've done the gap, my next slip stitch will be under the first chain 2. So I'll just simply go under it and slip stitch over there. And then I will cut my yarn, leaving a little bit of a yarn so as to see when it ends later. And then I'll pull this off, and I'll tighten my circle in the middle as well. And it's ready to now be assembled with my choice of hardware. And if I wanted to personalize it, I could do that as well. I hope you enjoyed this project, and happy crocheting. Please like and share and follow for more updates next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.